welcome to Grace Over Grit and Growth, the podcast where we celebrate women's journeys and empower each other to thrive in our personal lives, careers, and businesses. We're two women who are passionate about connecting with and inspiring others in our community. So welcome aboard. I'm Alita Anderson.
And I'm Monique Fisher.
And this is episode 4, and it's self-care isn't just for you. So when you hear self-care, we think of bubble baths, spa days, solo getaways. But you know what? What if self-care really isn't about just you? What if taking care of yourself is actually one of the best things you can do for your family, for your marriage, and even for your business? Today, we're going to be breaking down the guilt, the misconceptions, and the ripple effect of self-care. Because when you pour into yourself, everyone around you benefits. So welcome to Grace Over Grit and Growth, and let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Well, you know the saying, when mama's happy, everybody's happy. So
that's very true.
So I think, I just wanted to kick it off with that.
No, I think no truer words have been
spoken.
spoken.
That's right. So there it is. If we point into us, then life is good for everybody.
Yeah. But okay, so when you hear self-care, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
See, I think I got some negative connotations around it. Really? I do. I think you feel guilty if you stop to do those things. That you're supposed to be taking care of everybody. Mm-hmm. Then I think of self-care as like doing exercise, and I hate exercise. And, and I'm like, so that's not good.
So if I'm hearing you correctly,
mm-hmm.
Self-care for you, you're thinking more selfish than self-care.
I think selfish.
Okay.
Than self-care.
Okay.
And I know better.
Mm-hmm.
I do know better now, but I think that's what it's been.
Okay.
And I see a lot of women thinking that.
Yes. So since that's the first thing that pops into your mind, do you feel guilty about self-care?
Not anymore.
But you did.
But I did.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I really did. I thought what being a good mom or wife is taking care of everybody else. And I really didn't necessarily take care of myself.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I do. I thought it was selfish.
Okay.
I'm not in that space right now, but I did. I most definitely did.
Okay. I have a different feeling. I remember being home with my kids when they were much smaller, and I was staying home and T was working. Mm-hmm. And he would come home and I'd be like, okay, great, we're gonna eat dinner, deuces. He's like, wait, where are you going? I'm like, going to the movies. I might just go up to Target. I might just walk around the mall to get some things. So I was like, I have been with him all day long. I love all of you to death, but I need some time where I can hear myself think. Right. Or it could be as simple as I love to read. I would be like, okay, you got the kids, I'm gonna read. Because I did recognize that the more that when I voiced that, it wasn't an issue. Mm-hmm. But not voicing it, then I'm like, gotta make food again. Right. It was.
You're upset.
I'm upset, but I'm upset because I didn't take the time that I need, or I didn't have a chance to reset or recharge. And I'm not talking about, like we were just talking about, solo trips and things like that, where I'm like, out of the country or out of state, or I had to go, away for a weekend. But I just sometimes needed a moment. I spent time with kids all day long. And I'd be like, you know what? It wasn't every day that he came home, but a couple times a week, I'm like, look, sir, I'm gone. He would laugh like, all right, I'll see you when you get back. It was never an issue. Looks a little different now that the kids are older.
Yeah.
But I have my regular Handstone and massage membership. So I'm going to schedule my massages, my facials, all that, just to do something to the group.
So let me ask this to the women out there. Do you think self-care is a luxury or a necessity?
Yes. So do you think that you have to work up to self-care?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, for me, it could be taking 30 minutes to read a book. You know what I mean? I would read a book, not anything where I'm having to necessarily spend money or even leave the house, but just leave me alone. Like, give me a moment.
And you know, you and I, we are in sync so much on things, and this is where we kind of differ too. Because I thought of it as a luxury that I get to go get a massage, or I get to go get my. Now I'm always getting my hair done. That's negotiable, and my nails. So I don't consider that a part of self-care. That's just what we got to do. So hey. We budget for that and everything. That's in the budget. Yes, it's a line item in the budget.
Yes.
So I don't consider that. But massages or even taking trips with friends, or a solo trip. Now, and I can go to the movies by myself. I'm good with all of that. But in raising kids and doing all of that, and then having parents who eventually got sick, so I felt like I was in that sandwich generation. I didn't have time to do those. I didn't feel like, and if I did, it was a luxury. So
now I will say that there's been instances or time periods in, like you said, activities, everything else spinning around that I'm like, okay, no, like I'm not doing this. So I'm like, okay, I got to do this, whatever else. But and even in those moments, I didn't necessarily recognize that I was moving and doing stuff, but doing it like I need a little bit of time. And T would pop in and be like, hey, why don't you go
why don't you go somewhere?
And I'll be like, well, he'd be like, no, I got this, just go. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he'd be like, you around here just snapping at people and this, it's like, I'm like, oh. And in those times, I didn't even realize that I was doing it.
That's right.
But it's like, yeah, you've been going and going and going. Just take a minute back for a second.
And for me, it's true. I mean, I've always been overweight. So for me, it's eating. So I'll eat the stress away, which definitely is not self-care, right? So to have that weight fluctuate up and down, and you get on that scale and you see your weight and you're like, oh my God, I'm stressed to the max or whatever. That was kind of one of my indicators that I'm not taking care of myself.
Right.
I'm just eating whatever just to get through the day, the weeks, the months, with what I need to do for my family.
Right.
And then when my parents were sick and then the kids were still in high school and middle school, I even moved my parents in for a while because it was too much going back and forth.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what self-care was. I'm trying to get them to wear to their doctor's appointments. I'm trying to make sure these kids are doing what they need to do. And if I got in the bed and got 6 to 7 hours of sleep, for me at that time, that was self-care. I mean, that was, so I really did think of it as a luxury.
And I could definitely see that because, like you said, our personalities are really similar. And I just go. I have a lot on my plate, and I'm just like, okay, autopilot, we need to do this, this, and this, and I knock those things out. Funny story is the kids are probably 9 or 10, something around that age. I'm not a big napper. Like during the day, I might go to bed early or whatever else, but it's rare that you're gonna see me take a nap during the day. And I don't remember what happened, but I was tired. So I sit on the sofa and I just was like, let me get a blanket, and I was asleep. Knocked out. The kids were home. T had ran somewhere and they were like, what's she in there doing? Like, what's wrong with her? To the point they called him like, something wrong with mom. And they were like, he was like, what do you mean? Like, what happened? He was like, she on the sofa. He was like, she was over. He was like, I don't know. She's just laying there. He was like, well, is she sleeping? What is
they never seen their mama take a nap.
They were like, I don't know. We haven't gone over there. So he was laughing like, well, I'll be home in a second or whatever. So he comes home and he was like, hey, he wakes me up. And I was like, what's going on? He was like, the kids looking like, oh, she okay? Like, so I said, what is happening? So he told me, and I was cracking up. I said, I was just really tired. He was like, I figure. He's like, what this is? He said, do you know how crazy it is that your kids think something wrong with you because you're taking a nap? And I was like, when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I can't even. I think the last time that I like nap, I was probably pregnant with them. Like I just don't nap. But that's like what you said. Your body telling you slow down, sit down, regroup.
Well, girl, a good nap is a part of my self-care then, because I will take a nap, baby. I will. I was talking to friends on the phone the other day and fell asleep. I heard somebody say, Monique. And I'm like, what? Girl, I'm like, y'all know it's my nap time. What do you want? No. But wow. Yeah. That's a lot. If you just keep going like that, your kids have never seen you take a nap. Yeah.
I'm like, wow. But those are the things that you and sometimes you don't necessarily know that you need self-care, like in that example that I just gave. But what you don't want to have, like you said, is that you're moving and not really paying attention to what you're eating, what you're doing, how you're resting, if you're resting, how you need to recharge, because then that shows up in other places, whether it be sickness, things falling through the plate. And then I think that's when people notice, or your family members start to notice, like, hey, like, for instance, if you haven't done self-care, and you're just going, do you see or feel different from your family? Like, do they receive you differently, or do they act differently, or they're like looking at you like, who's she?
Who is she?
What's going
on? Well, George will actually call some of my friends. Somebody want to come over here and get her? Could y'all come get her and just take her out?
Please.
Wherever y'all want to go. Dinner on me. Just come get it, because something's going on.
So it's noticeable.
It's noticeable. It's very noticeable. It is. And so self-care too can be mental health as well, right?
Yes.
So I will tell you that after my mother passed, I really did struggle. And I became, I think, a different person. I became really needy. And we talked before, I don't like no needy people. So I couldn't stay halfway stand myself. But there was some type of void or something there. Mm-hmm. And so I had a good friend who said to me, Monique, I think you need to get some counseling. Mm-hmm. I think you need to talk to someone. I'm like, girl, I don't need to talk to nobody. I know what's wrong with me. My mama died. What do you don't you understand? So she was like, no, Monique, I'm serious. You really do need to go talk to somebody. And George seconded. He was like, please, somebody come get her. So I did. I went to a therapist for a while. And not that she didn't tell me anything that I didn't know. But basically what she said was, no one's going to love you like your mother. You're probably looking for something, that type of relationship, and you're looking for it through the closest person to you, which is your husband, and he can't give it to you. Mm-hmm. So self-care too is that mind shift.
Yeah.
Once I heard it out loud, and there's nothing I really didn't know.
Right.
But somebody had to say it to me, then I realized, but he can't do that.
Right.
He can't fill that void. So stop trying to make him do that. You're punishing him for something, that just naturally has happened. So she told me, have prayers, write things out, write letters to your mom, do things or speak to her, just speak out loud to her, create a memory book, do things that honor her, that you feel like you're spending that time with her. And so that was some good advice. And that was, that was self-care.
That was self-care because it was a space that you had not been in. It was so you didn't really know how to respond or what to do.
I did.
And you had nothing to compare it to or to say.
Right.
So I applaud you for going to therapy. Because sometimes people just try to figure it out and figure it out.
And I'm one of those type of people.
Me too.
So that was a big step for me. I'm like, I'm paying this woman to talk to her, tell her about my problems, which I already know. I know what's wrong with me, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. I don't, but it did help. It really did. So, I just, I don't know if you've ever had gone to see a therapist. And I think in our culture and community, it's has such a negative connotation to it.
Yes.
But we need to talk about those things. That sometimes we do need that. Our friends, they just can't help us with everything because they don't know or they haven't experienced it, or we just don't have the capability to do that. So, I think making sure your mental health is good, I think that's a part of your self-care.
I think it is too. I've not personally gone through therapy. However, I have some girlfriends that have, and sometimes the things that they share, and it's like you said, not necessarily of, hey, you need to do, or this is what's wrong with you, you need to do this, but it's the questions that are asked that make you self-reflect, that allows you to look and process stuff a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
So in those instances, I'm not at all opposed to therapy, just not have done it. But one of the things that you touched on has helped me is journaling. Because it's when you journal and you can kind of just get some things out of your mind, out of your system, or even just capturing currently what's going on in your life. I know for me, when I look back at some of the journal entries that I've had, it really makes me grateful, because I realize, the year, 2 years prior to the things that I was working to, that I'm currently in. And sometimes even when those get stressful, you're like, this is what I asked for.
Right.
This is what I'm in, this is what I prayed for. This is that I'm here. And it really just makes you realize how quick time goes by.
Yes.
And how quickly things can change for the good or the bad.
That's right.
But when you mentally try to go through those things, you get it. But it's something about reading your words and how you felt and where, the specifics on your viewpoint at that time. Because a lot of times when you look back on it, you're in a whole different space. And you look at it like, it wasn't really that big of a deal.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
It wasn't that big of a deal. So that's helped me to look at things that I'm currently going through to be like, I remember when I did this or had this, and I thought it was such a big deal. And then that happened, it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
So it helps me understand that although it feels heavy and it feels like a lot, that this too shall pass and that you'll be okay.
I don't journal like I used to, but what I do is I keep what I'm grateful for.
Oh, I love that.
And I do that every morning. I pick one thing that I'm grateful for so that I can, when I start to complain about things or just, I'm like, Monique, God has been good to you. You're in relatively good health, and your family's good.
Yes.
If there's nothing that bad, right, this can take you out of that. And what did we talk about that last episode? Peace.
Yes.
Your peace. So yeah.
Yeah, and that you cannot put a price on it.
You cannot put a price on it. So so I think mental health is a component of self-care, and then there's physical health, right? So that's what I associate with the self-care that I don't like. That doggone exercising,
But you do like exercise. You just don't like exercise. You play pickleball. What else?
Yes, I play pickleball. I line dance. So what I had to do is all about framing things. Yeah. I had to redefine it because I'm thinking of getting on the floor trying to do a sit-up, or they be doing the mountain climbers and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, I found other ways to get the exercise in that I like.
Yep. And that's the key, because then you do it.
But it's all a shift, because I just associated that with, like I said, doing like calisthenics or something, just a typical gym class. But there's other ways to get your exercise in. Yeah. That works for you. The other thing is I'm with Girl Trek, a walking group. That's a little bit of socialization and the walking and exercise. And they do a lot of affirmations about self-care. And it's nothing like seeing other people do it. Yes. When you have an example, and you see all these women that come together to take care of themselves. Yes. That is such a big component of my life now. So I love that group that, they've taught me too about self-care.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny that you say seeing other people, because with exercise, for me, I'm very competitive by nature, which you know. So I find myself like, I know this lady looks like she's way older than me. She's not about to. Oh, I'm saying she on here. I'm staying on here for 5 minutes. She's in here, and I'm in there literally in my head, in my body. I feel like I'm about to die, but I'm like, I will not stop. I'm not stopping to see that. So I'm like, this is not even healthy. Now
right.
I don't know what this lady from Adam, but I just feel like in my mind, you can't exercise.
Right. You can't exercise.
Or do those classes. I've done the classes with Zumba and things of that nature, and I'm like, "Ooh, I want to stop," but I'm like, "Nope, nobody else stopped." Or the people who stopped are like senior citizens. So I'm like, "Nope, I'm not stopping with the senior citizens."
And you just started, and they've been doing it for 50 years.
No idea.
So they have stamina. You have no idea, and you're trying to keep up.
Oh God, I'm gonna die, but that's okay.
See, I go up to them saying, "You a bad girl, because I sure did stop."
So that makes me laugh, because I do see the people that pushes me, but not probably in a positive way. It's all craziness. And then too, competitive with myself. Like one of the things I've knocked off too, I think, with self-care is I am a to-do list person. Mm-hmm. So I'll be like, okay, today I need to do these 5 things. Or for me, tracking the water that I'm drinking. So I'm going to drink X amount of water today. I want to exercise for 30 minutes. So I'm going to do it these days or however many days per week. Mm-hmm. So I typically will get up in the morning and try to, we have an elliptical at home. So I'll be on the elliptical for like 30 minutes. If I don't do it in the morning, I know that I still need to do it. So then that's irritating, because now I got to come home and exercise. And I'm like, ugh. So I'll try to work it in throughout the day. But that to-do listing and with the water, same thing, tracking and do that. But also just with day-to-day things that I need to do, I'm like, okay, this is this top 5 are things that need to get done today. Everything else, I have other things on the list. Everything else needs to get done, but not necessarily today. So what I'll do is put it for tomorrow. Like, it needs to get done this week, but I'm going to put it on for Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. By the end of the week, it'll get done, and I can look at that list and then plug when I have free time, or plug stuff in, or say allocate time to get it done. But for me, it takes off the, oh my gosh, I got to get all this stuff done, just to break it into chunks.
Yeah. So that's funny. I do a list too, but wait a minute, honey. I have 5 things. I'll be like, this is the top 3, and these 2 are stretch goals. Then if I get those 2 done, I'll be like, whoa, look at me. I got my stretch goals done, knowing good well they should be on the regular list. But it's the little things in life to make yourself proud. Exactly. Right? So
exactly.
So that's funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are some good techniques. We would love to hear some of the things that you do for self-care, or how do you manage your day so that you don't get overwhelmed. Because I think that's all, managing our stress levels is definitely part of self-care. Taking on too much on your plate. We said this in the last episode. No is a full
sentence. No is a complete sentence.
So I think that is part of self-care. Knowing your limits. And being okay with what those limits are.
Right.
Like one of the things, every year at Christmas time, I don't know, we started this years ago, where Kennedy and I would do a cookie bake. So we would bake cookies for the teachers, we would do it for the coaches, the teams they were on, for friends and family. So we're like, okay. So the kids just now, we're like, okay, we're doing our cookie bake. I'd say the last 3 years, people be like, where are the cookies? I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing cookies this year. I'm like, what happened to the cookies? I'm like, it was either this or the cookies, and the cookies didn't and the cookies didn't win. Like, I had to do this instead. So that was our running joke when we had our Christmas get together. Like, so no cookies this year again? I'm like, no cookies this year. Just open the business. Like, no cookies this year. No cookies this year. I'm like, I'm gonna buy some cookies. They were like, what? I said, Yep, store-bought cookies for now. Like,
yeah, that's good.
So yeah, just some of the things that you do, and just know it's okay. You can't stress your. It's like I was living up to what I was always able to do, and one of the things, and then I'm like, Okay, now I'm like, gotta get these cookies done. Like, it's not even fun.
It's not fun. And your heart's not in it.
Exactly.
So why are you doing it?
Yep.
And that's the same thing for Thanksgiving. I cook it all. Now, I do cook on holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the banana pudding, and I got the cake, and I got the sweet potato pies, and, along with the homemade everything else.
Right.
Girl, this year, they ain't getting no banana pudding. And they didn't get no cake. I'm like, I'm not doing all that. Now, sweet potato pies, I won't negotiate. I would definitely do. But I'm like, I can't do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. You're getting a full home cooked meal, that you be grateful for that.
Yes.
I mean, and they were, but I'm saying again, it's that guilt, ladies, and that pressure that we put on ourselves. Because you think about it, how much dessert can you really eat?
Right. Exactly.
And everybody in the house eats sweet potato pie, so that's the one I picked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta it's all about giving ourselves some grace.
Yes.
We try to live up to these standards or traditions that sometimes, at certain times, I should say, we just don't have to because we can't. So
and traditions is a big one.
Oh,
it's like, why are we doing this? Because we do. And it's like, well, why? And it takes a kid to be like, now, why do we do this all the time? Like, well, because grandma did it.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so I'm like, wait, nobody even likes or even enjoys this. Okay, we're going to figure out a different way to honor this.
Way to do this.
But it needs to make sense.
So Christmas was big for my mother. And so part of me honoring her is I still have all that family over for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And she cooked. Well, not just her and I. We both cooked, right? And she didn't look. She told them, no, the baby don't bring nothing because they really couldn't. Some of them can't cook. So, one or two of them, she'll let bring something. But the other one, she's like, no, you bring the paper plates and the
pots.
And bring a little something. Bring cookies or something from the store, some Christmas cookies. She didn't want them doing it. So after she passed, and I took it over before she passed. But I'm like, why am I trying to cook all of this? You all bring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ain't good, oh well. I ain't gotta eat it.
Right.
Because I will cook me something later on. But I stopped all of that, trying to do everything. You all need to chip in, and because families have grown too,
Yes.
My cousins, they all got grandkids and things. So I'm like, I'm not trying to do all that, but traditions will definitely get you in trouble. You have to say, no, we got to change this and make it what works for me. And again, I think those are the types of things that we don't think about, but that's self-care.
It is. And like I was talking about before, but people stepping in, we do big events. So it might be like we are getting together for Memorial, not specific holiday, but I always laugh because Till be like, we're going to have a few people over. And he knows the word.
Oh, yeah, he knows the word.
So it'll be like,
yeah.
Okay, well, I told this person too. And then they're coming. And then I'm like, so wait, how many people is this up to now? Okay, so we will cook, do this, whatever. And then at the end of the night, I'm exhausted. We have to do this. And it's like, it's not fun. So I think it was last year, maybe the year before last, we did a Juneteenth picnic. So he had DJ'd a party somewhere. He was like, I met this lady. She's a really good caterer. Whatever else, because Tanya was out of town.
Okay. That's my go-to. Say, wait a minute, no, Tanya with it.
No, Tanya's out of town. So he was like, I'm gonna have her do. I think she did a ham, or maybe it was a ribs. She did meat, and then she did like 2 or 3 sides. I did peach cobbler. I had some fresh fruit, and I did, I think, watermelon slices. And then everything else we got in. So they came, I had everything set up, so we decorated and I did all that. They came and said everything else, and I was like, oh yeah, never again. Like, no. Like, I don't be like, did you make? Nope, I did not. I made peach cobbler and I cut up this fruit. That's what they're like, really? Yeah, no, I didn't do any of that. I'll give you her information. And I'm like, oh, but you know me. I do normally. Not today. Like, no, I do. And I was able to enjoy the event.
That's right.
And I'm
now
like,
you're able to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm like, because it's not that fun hosting when you're tired. Like, because you don't understand like you said, the cooking, the pre-work. Then after people leave, the cleanup, all that. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not fun.
And that's that leverage, or that's that, giving yourself grace and saying, we may not do it like we used to do it,
Yes.
But the fact that we are all here together, hanging out, and I get to enjoy you
exactly.
too. Yeah,
exactly. So, like, really examining why you're doing what you're doing, and what is the goal of it? Is the goal is for you to be the cook, or to enjoy the people?
Or to enjoy the people, right? So again, it goes back to mindset. Shifting how we think about it.
And as you do that, I think that models self-care for kids,
for your children.
So I know that you have the boys. Are there things that they do just to relax, kick back, and just?
Yeah, well, Kyle plays video games.
Okay.
You know, because he worked that second shift or whatever. So when he comes in the basement, and that's kind of his thing, right? Chris loves music 24/7. Yeah, he's in his room, he's recording, but he'll shut that door, and that's kind of his space. And the same thing with George. George has an aquarium. He loves his fish. God bless him. And then he plays video games too. Some crazy little game, you know. I don't know what it is. But then I'm upstairs, I'll watch a movie, you know, some type of rom-com or just something that I want to see, you know, just to kind of escape a little bit too.
We have, like, it's funny because a lot of times my mother-in-law will call and she'll be like, "Where's everybody?" I'll be like, "I don't know, I'm in my office," or whatever. And then she'll call like T, she'll be like, "Where?" He'll be like, "I don't know, I'm in the basement." Like, they're serious. She'll call one of the kids will be like, "We're in our room." She's like, "How do y'all not know each other?" Like, everybody's in their own space, doing their own thing, just kind of relaxing for a minute. Even now when we go on vacation, we typically get Airbnbs because we like our space. Like, it's a lot of us. So we can sit back, enjoy wherever we are, do the excursions, do all that, come back to our room, kind of relax, then, you know, go to dinner or whatever else. But I think that space and just giving a moment to reset is important. And everybody lets everybody just kind of do their own thing to relax and recharge.
Right. Yeah, because you want them to feel, you know, to get the things that they have to do done, and they're active. And so, yeah, everybody needs some downtime.
You know, in schools now, they have the day where you could call in. Oh my gosh, what's the correct name for it? But it's like it's not self-care. It is mindset reset or something like that.
Really?
So you can call in, not that I'm sick, I just need a mental health day.
Oh, mental health day.
So you can call in for, excuse me.
And say, I just need
I need a mental health day. So at first I was like, what? And then I was like, okay, so Kennedy had they had a competition. So they were at the competition. They got back from school super late. They went to school early because they had to practice before they got on the bus. They went to the competition. They came back. Then they had a game that day and like all this other stuff. And so the next day she was just like, "Mom, I just need a mental health day. I'm just going to be exhausted." And then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, you probably can't just keep going. And she literally was like, she grabbed some lunch and she was in her room, you know, resting. Same thing, similar with him with basketball. They're doing different things. He was just like, yeah, I need a moment.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't think that, I know that when I was in school, we didn't have those.
Girl,
so it was
like, no mental health day. What do you mean, what's wrong with you? You may get up and I go to work every day, so you go to school every day. Mental health day.
That's one of the things that it's like, before I was like, wait, what? You had to think about it. Like, I'm glad that they're shaping them to understand that they're not robots.
Right.
They need some downtime. They need to do something a little bit different. And they need to just reflect and reset themselves.
Right.
Because these kids be having full schedules. And I'm like, when do you expect them to get all this stuff done?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Ooh, I could imagine that back in the day. You tell my daddy I need a mental health day. If I don't go to work, I don't get paid. Then you don't eat. So now you're going to have some mental health issues.
Right.
Ooh, Lord,
exactly.
No, I can hear.
Oh, my God. That was spiral so
fast.
That
was spiral so fast. Girl, please.
No.
Yeah, no. I don't think that would have went over well back then. But, you know, we are where we are. And I will say kids are exposed to so much more now. Yes. You know, they have so much coming at them with technology and you know, those phones and everything, all these gadgets. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they do need to recharge. That's a lot. That's, you know, your senses are just going crazy. You just,
all the time.
Mm-mm. But, you know, I don't know. I think self-care can be many things. You know, we talked about the physical, the mental.
Yep.
Then doing just like your hair, your nails, getting those things done.
Because I do believe when you look good, you feel good. I know I feel good, and I'll be like, "Oh, my hair, do I need to go to?" I'm like,
right.
You feel like, and come on, be like, "Okay, yeah," you know, you have a whole pep
different
in the
attitude.
step.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I think too, one thing, and eventually a topic that I do want to get into, and I haven't even shared this with you.
Okay.
We want somebody to come in. I want to talk about menopause with women.
Yes.
I think that's a self-care issue that a lot of people don't address, and we haven't talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So women don't even know what's happening. And I'm loving seeing like Halle Berry and some of these other Viola Davis. They're talking about it more and more. And what it is. And menopause can last 10 years.
Yes.
And I didn't know that.
Says that.
And nobody tells you that. So I think that's a topic that I think we should look into.
I agree.
And as we move forward too, I think we're going to ask you if we could start interviewing people and bringing people in.
Yes.
To talk about various topics, the experts in these different fields. So again, we really do want you to contact us and let us know what you would like to hear or talk about, because we're trying to be a resource to women just about everyday issues, right? And we're just trying to teach ourselves and show others that grace is everything. Your faith, doing those simple things that help you be the best that you can be. You know, we were talking about a tagline, and even maybe helping us with that.
Yes.
Make it make sense for you, right? Not just make it make sense for other people. Make it make sense for you.
And I think it's just so important to sit in what makes sense for you. It's funny to me that sometimes people need the permission to do what they need to do for themselves.
Yes.
So that's what we want this to be, to understand that whatever you're going through, you're not the only one.
That's right.
We'll talk a little bit about how different, things that we've gone through. We want, like I said, Monique was saying, people to come in to talk and share about not only our perspective, but other people's expression and their perspective on how to do things and the why behind it. Because the
why. To bring professionals in to help us understand, why do we put ourselves last? Yes. Right.
What are some of the things, the mind shifts that we could do daily that'll affect us for the long term? So we want a community to grow. We want everybody to prosper. And we just want to have a conversation with you about what matters to you. So like Monique said, share with us, share the topics that you want. If there's any speakers, if you'd like to be featured on our show, let us know that too. Reach out to us. You can reach out on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube channel.
And that's Grace Over Grit and Grow.
That's it. Until next time.
Until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.